the principle that makes what you're doing courageous, and that is you should risk it all on the launch. Risk it all on the launch. In your launch day, you see the paragraph, it should be promoted during each of your monthly services on your website and in every conversation with people that you have. It's the goal, so promote it to the max.
Yeah, so let's just go to the board here for just a moment and talk about the launch date. So here's our launch date. Let's say in this case we are looking at a February launch date, and so we're doing February of 08 maybe. And we're backing up off this launch date. I'll just leave it the year empty. It was February of the next year, and so we're going to back up, and we have a monthly service in January. We had the comeback event between the two. CBE for anyone? Comeback event, yes, exactly. And then we have December. Maybe we didn't have a December, January comeback event because of travel for Christmas, or maybe you did. Then you would have November. You would have October. And in this case, let's just say they're doing even September. And we had a comeback event here. We had maybe a comeback event here, like an early December Christmas party or something like that before it got so crazy. And we're building up to this big launch. Now, if I only had limited amounts of marketing money, or even if I had a lot of marketing money, my marketing budget as I get closer to my date would get higher. So if I was spending my marketing money, and I know this color may be a little hard to see. Let's see. Yeah, if I was spending my marketing money, I would start low and I would build up to this launch. And I would spend more money on marketing, more money on promotion. I would put more pressure on my people to invite their friends as I build up to launch. Now, if I had unlimited marketing money, first of all, I'd probably be in heaven, because that doesn't happen in the real world, right? But, if I really had some serious marketing dollars, then I would just, each time, I would increase it. So, I would spend some in September, I'd spend more in October, more in November, more in December, more in January, then I would spend, at least 50% of my total dollars here on my launch. So that's just a good rule of thumb. Regardless of how much you have, spend 50% of your total dollars. So if I had $10,000, I'd spend $5,000 on these services, and then I would spend another $5,000 on just this one service. And that's just a rule of thumb. You have to work that out for yourself. But the goal is to risk it all on this launch. If I only had a little bit of marketing money, I might not, spend a whole lot up here and then spend it all over here. So it's very tricky to talk about, specifics, because it's so diverse. But do everything you can to keep promoting and promoting and promoting those services. Because I don't like the churches that spend a lot of money over here and then they have nothing left for their launch. It's just it's not the best way to use your resources and ensure a large launch.
You see that happen in political campaigns all the time too. The candidates who are the most successful have used their money wisely and have a lot left the 2 weeks before the election. You waste it all at the beginning, and it's the same principle here. Risk it all on the launch. You see some lessons that from starting churches from scratch that we've learned and that we implement. Have your people commit to inviting their friends. Launch with a new teaching series that hits a higher felt need of your target.
Yeah, and that's very important. The series that you're going to kick off at your launch date should be one that just captures attention. A February series, I would say kick off with a sex series. That's just a great series. If I was doing a series maybe in the fall, I would do something perhaps on parenting or marriage.
We've done them on work.
Yeah, before. On work, how to survive work, and overcoming stress. Those are huge felt needs that we've done. You can see some of the series that we have back there. Most of our series that we've packaged have been these felt need kinds of series. Promote the next week and challenge people to come back. Don't forget, at your launch service, just like you were doing at your monthly services, invite people to come back. So if I was kicking off on my launch date, let me just go to the board, make sure I'm communicating. On this launch date, if I was kicking off a 4-week series on stress, or something to do maybe with work, at the end of that service, I would say something like this: man, this has been a great day here at the Journey, and I'm so glad you're part of week number 1 of this whole series. Maybe right now a commitment that we all could make would be to say we're going to be here as much as possible over these next 4 weeks. And so why don't you right now just say to God, God, I'll do the best that I can to be here over these next 4 weeks if you'll open up my schedule and allow me to do it. And you'll have people in your service who will say, I never thought about that. I will be here for this whole 4-week series. And I use that all the time on Easter. I mean, I do that every Easter now as a church. I start a new series, and I invite them to be with us for the next 5 weeks. And there's a lot of people that have never thought about making that decision to be there for an entire series.
And they may be at that launch service with no intention of being a part of your church yet. But you make that ask, and they'll say, okay, I'll do 4 weeks. And during that 4 weeks, God touches their life, and something happens. And they accept Christ, they get plugged in, they start doing something with your church.
As new people come, have them tell their friends. Go ahead and start getting your new people, inviting their friends. And they came for the first time, they had a good experience, they come back. This is maybe one that is contrarian. Don't use an outside band or teacher for your launch service. This is a mistake that people make. I think they make this mistake not only on launch day, but also on Easter. They will bring in like a home run band or a heavy hitter teacher. And the problem with that is when people come back the next week and it's you and the average band, they feel very disappointed. And they think, oh, well, this church, they're a special event church, so I'm just going to come on the big day. I'm not going to come back. And I would let the launch date have the charisma. Like, it's going to feel special because it's the launch date. And so, even though it is you and it is the band that's there every week, at least it's going to be consistent. But there's going to be a buzz in the air because it's the launch day.
And speaking of that, we've had church planners who have had the idea of using special teachers and special events for the monthly services leading up to the launch date. Don't do that either. You need to be the one teaching during the monthly services and even at the launch date especially.
Yeah, remember, how you reach people is how you're going to keep people. So if you reach them by coming to hear the superstar or coming to hear the special testimony or, the athlete, you're going to have to keep bringing in athletes and special type folks or special music to try to get them to come back. So I would rather you have consistency than have to have this zigzag thing that outside people bring in.
Nelson mentioned this next one. Ask those who have attended the monthly services to serve at the launch. Begin making those asks and building up that team.
Yeah, there's a correlation between how many people you can get to serve at your launch and how big your launch will be. And so as many people as you can. And they'll still bring their friends. They'll serve as well. Collect contact information. We've talked about that. Do not miss that contact info. Follow up on every person. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. Count. I think you should count how many attend and try to distinguish, if you can, between those that are actually from the area versus those who may have come in from outside to support you. Here's a little thing about the numbers, and you can quote me on this. When it comes to counting people in your new church, I strongly encourage you to lie with the numbers. And what I mean by that is just lie in the godly direction. And that is to always downplay your numbers. If you think there were 250 in the room, but maybe there were only 230, go with 230. And here's why, because you always have people from other churches who come to support you. If you've got 100 people in the room and you think 30 of them are from other churches, but your friend thinks 35 are from other churches, go with your friend's number and report 65. Because if you start puffing the numbers in the wrong direction and you start lying in the bad direction, this is actually going to cause you to have a false sense of stability, and you're going to make decisions based on bad information, which is going to hurt the rest of your church. I would rather you act as a church that's a little bit smaller than act like a church that's a little bit larger. Be careful with that. Then serve refreshments if you can at the launch.